Hey, it's Mr. Strum, and today we're going to look at the digestive system. And the first lesson is about the function. So, what does it do, and why do we have it? Well, I love to eat, and most people actually like food. And oftentimes it seems like our day revolves around eating. Eating is one of our most basic needs. Water and food are our main sources for survival. That means in order to stay alive, we need to eat. Food is broken down by a process known as digestion. Digestion is both the mechanical and chemical breakdown of food. Food must be digested so that our cells can use it to fuel our bodies. And that's accomplished by the digestive system. And the principle, the main function of the digestive system is to prepare the food for cellular utilization. Cellular utilization means that the nutrients from the food can be used in chemical reactions such as building enzymes, sometimes called synthesizing enzymes, cell division and growth, cell repair, and production of energy. Anatomically and functionally, the digestive system is divided into the GI tract or the gastrointestinal tract and accessory digestive organs. The GI tract is one long sac that extends from your mouth all the way to your anus. And it's sometimes called the alimentary canal. Alimentary is means food related. So it's like a food canal. Each structure of the GI tract has specific functions in breaking down the food and preparing it for cellular utilization. It usually requires about 24 hours for food to travel the length of the GI tract. The structures of the GI tract and approximate times for how long the food is there include your oral cavity, your pharynx, and esophagus. Notice that for you to chew and swallow the food, that takes very short amounts of time. But once it enters your stomach, your small intestine, and large intestine, that's where it takes a while to get through your system. The accessory digestive organs help digestive in a indirect way, sort of. We have the teeth, the tongue, salivary glands, your liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. They all assist the digestive system or the digestive process. There are structures of the digestive system that works together to prepare food for cellular utilization through several processes, namely, these are those. We have ingestion. So you're ingesting, you're taking in food. Mastication. Mastication means to chew. Masticar is to chew in Spanish. So think of mastication as chewing. Swallowing. Peristalsis. Digestion, absorption, and defecation. So I think those speak for themselves, and we'll analyze what peristalsis means later. Ingestion is when you eat food and food enters your oral cavity. That's referred to as ingestion. Mastication is chewing, mixing your food with saliva, which makes it easier to break down. Swallowing is when the food moves from your oral cavity towards the stomach. Peristalsis is the waves of muscular contractions within the digestive tract that pushes food through the digestive system. So the muscles moving the food towards your stomach, that's known as peristalsis. Digestion is the mechanical and chemical breakdown of food. Absorption is when the nutrients pass through the blood vessels in the small intestine and then are dispersed to cells throughout your body. And large portions of consumed food are not digested and are passed out of the body as waste. Defecation is the discharge of non-digested material, sometimes called feces. The structures of the digestive system work together to make digestion possible through a series of processes such as ingestion, mastication, swallowing, peristalsis, digestion, absorption, and defecation. And that's the end of the first lesson in this section. Now we're going to get to digestion itself. Zoom in a little bit. Okay. Digestion takes place along the gastrointestinal tract with the help of the accessory digestive organs. And we reviewed that last time. Got your oral cavity, your pharynx, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, and large intestine. The oral cavity, also known as the mouth, is where food ingestion takes place. When the mouth, within the mouth, there are 3 accessory digestive organs that aid in digestion. Your teeth, tongue, and salivary glands all help. Your teeth are hard, bony, enamel-coated structures that are found in your mouth. Teeth are the hardest substances in the body and are used for chewing and biting. The tongue is a mass of skeletal muscle that is covered with mucous membrane. And salivary glands are digestive glands that produce a fluid called saliva. You can see a young child salivating. I don't know why, but young children always seem to like to salivate. The teeth, tongue, and salivary glands prepare the food for digestion through mastication. Mastication is chewing. So your teeth are chewing and tearing down that food, and your tongue mixes the food with saliva. Saliva moistens the food, and it also starts the chemical process of breaking down the food. Within saliva, there are 2 enzymes, amylase and ptyalin. And just double check that pronunciation.
Ptyalin.
Ptyalin, yeah.
These.
If you're ever unsure about what a word sounds like, just hit that read aloud button. It's very helpful. These enzymes work to break down your food even further. And specifically, they work on breaking the chemical bonds which hold sugar molecules together. These strands of sugar molecules are known as starches. Now that the food has been masticated, it is known as a bolus, and is ready to be swallowed. So once the food loses its shape and it's chewed up, we call that another thing, just to be more specific, and it's a bolus. And then you swallow that, the tongue moves it back to your throat, or towards the back of your throat, and then the pharynx is in your back of the throat. And it connects the nasal and oral cavities and provides passage for both air and food. The soft palate rises during swallowing to keep food from going into the nasal cavity. The epiglottis covers the larynx or windpipe to keep food from going down into your respiratory system, which is a big no-no. We don't want that. Therefore, the food is directed into the esophagus. The esophagus is the tube connecting the pharynx to the stomach, and it's right behind the trachea. It's posterior to the trachea. It's lined with ring-like muscles that can help push the food through to the stomach. So you're not consciously moving food towards your stomach. Your body takes care of that through peristalsis. And that is the waves of muscular contractions that push food along, beginning in the esophagus and continuing throughout the digestive system. Sometimes you'll see the esophagus spelled with an O. Same thing. Digestion. The stomach is a bean shaped. It does sort of look like a bean, doesn't it? Muscular organ that connects the esophagus with the small intestine. And it is mainly a holding tank. So food chills out here while it gets chemically broken down, and then it moves on to the small intestine. So you see each step is a link in a chain working together to get food through your body. And within the stomach, there are glands on the wall, and they produce gastric juices. And those gastric juices contain pepsin, an enzyme that breaks protein down into smaller chains of amino acids. And we call those small chains of amino acids peptides. So pepsin breaks proteins down into peptides. Lots of P's going on. And then we also have hydrochloric acid, or HCl, if you want to abbreviate it. And this creates an acidic environment which kills bacteria in the food and helps to chemically break down the food itself. The muscles within the layers of the stomach relax and contract to churn and mix the contents of the stomach. Now, the partially digested food is called chyme. So each time the food undergoes a big process, we call it something else. So it's food, and it's called a bolus, and then chyme. Little absorption takes place in the stomach. A few things that are absorbed include aspirin and alcohol. Those are quick absorbing ingredients. And the stomach is somewhat like a balloon. When it's not filled, a balloon looks very small. But when it expands, as air is pushed into it, it appears bigger. The stomach acts in the same way. An empty stomach has a volume of only 1.5 to 2 tablespoons. With each swallow and addition of food, its capacity increases. Its maximum capacity has been estimated at around 6 to 7 cups. The amount of time food spends in the stomach is determined by the combination of foods in the stomach. Of the energy nutrients, carbohydrates are first to leave the stomach, followed by protein, and then fats. That is why when you have carbohydrates, you don't feel quite as full as longer, because the food doesn't stay in your stomach as long. But I don't know. I feel fine with a lot of carbs, so I guess that's subjective. The small intestine is the organ that connects the stomach with the large intestine. This is where most of the absorption takes place. Absorption is when nutrients pass through the blood vessels in the small intestine and then are dispersed to cells throughout the body. Accessory digestive organs aid in the digestion process in the small intestine, namely the liver, the gallbladder, and pancreas. The liver is a wedge-shaped organ located immediately below the diaphragm. One of the functions of the liver is to produce bile, and bile is a digestive juice that helps break down fats. All right, so have you ever used dish soap to clean a greasy frying pan? Dish soap works similarly to how bile works. Bile is stored in the gallbladder in between meals, and when you eat, your gallbladder squeezes some bile into the small intestine to mix with the food, and the bile helps to break down fat into a watery substance so that enzymes can digest that fat molecule, or all of those fat molecules. So think of gallbladder as dish soap for fat in your body. And the pancreas is a soft pistil-shaped organ. I guess you can say it's pistil-shaped. I don't really see it, but it's soft and pistol shaped, and it's located posterior to the stomach and level with the top of the small intestine. Now, your pancreas secretes a digestive enzyme into the small intestine that breaks down all proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Whereas the liver produced bile, and that was mainly for fats. Pancreatic juices are composed of the following: sodium bicarbonate. This neutralizes hydrochloric acid from the stomach, and the hydrochloric acid, the hydrochloric acid needs to be neutralized so that the digestive enzymes can function properly. Sodium bicarbonate, it neutralizes all that acidic elements, all those acidic elements, and the pancreatic amylase is an enzyme that breaks down starches. So that will break down potatoes, rice, those carb-heavy foods. Trypsin is an enzyme that breaks down proteins, and lipase is an enzyme that breaks down fat. So there you go. Now, the small intestine secretes digestive enzymes that mix with bile and the pancreatic juices to complete digestion. The body is able to break down fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, which are then absorbed into the blood vessel. The waste products of digestion are then moved into the large intestine. And the large intestine is the organ between the small intestine and the anus, and is the final portion of the digestive tract. The function of the large intestine is to form, store, and expel feces, also known as stool, from the body through defecation. Defecation is also known as a bowel movement. Less than 1 cup of water is usually left in the large intestine to soften and facilitate the movement of stool. However, the exact amount depends on how quickly food moves through the bowel. If the waste is processed quickly, one is likely to have a looser stool. If the bowel moves more slowly, constipation can result. And in review, digestion is the mechanical and chemical breakdown of food. It travels through the GI tract, through your oral cavity, your pharynx, your esophagus, and then onto your stomach, the small intestine, and then finally your large intestine. And the GI tract also gets some help from these accessory digestive organs: your teeth, tongue, salivary glands in your mouth and neck region. And then the liver, gallbladder, and pancreas help with the digestion in your stomach and the small intestines. So there you go. That's the second section. And then we're going to look at nutrient function. There are 6 essential nutrients found in food that are absorbed by the body. We have vitamins, minerals, water, carbs, proteins, and fats. Nutrients are very important for the body to function properly. They have 3 main functions: to provide energy, build structure, and regulate body processes. Of these 6 essential nutrients, water, vitamins, and minerals aid the body with vital metabolic functions, but do not act as an energy source. You don't get energy from water necessarily, but water is very important for your body. Now, carbs, proteins, and fats are the energy sources for the body. Water, definitely the most essential nutrient your body needs. 40 to 60% of your body is water. Therefore, whether you are exercising or not, you need to make sure you are drinking water throughout the day so that you do not become dehydrated. Dehydration is no joke, and you'll feel like crap. And in order to stay hydrated before, during, and after a workout, the American Council on Exercise, very official folks, recommends the following. Drink 1 to 2 cups of fluid at least 1 hour before exercising, 8 ounces of fluid 20 to 30 minutes before you start. Drink 4 to 8 ounces of fluid every 10 minutes during exercise. Drink 8 ounces of fluid, preferably something with sugar to replace electrolytes within 30 minutes of exercising. Drink 2 cups of fluid for every pound lost during exercise. Sure. If you ever watch sports or basketball, you'll see people get very tired and sweaty, and they got to drink a lot of water to replace all of that. But a good rule of thumb is to drink water throughout the day. Cook foods with a lot of water, because that can count as part of your fluid intake. So drinking lots of soups, lots of hydrated food, fruits, they have lots of water content, vegetables too. And oatmeal, you'll pour water or you boil it with water, and then it soaks that water up. So does rice. So you can get nutrients in water, even if you don't like drinking water, but I'd say get used to it. And then the more you sweat, the more water you obviously should drink. Vitamins are needed in small amounts to help the body with chemical reactions within its cells and are organic, which means they are made by plants or animals. There are 2 categories of vitamins. We have fat soluble and water soluble. Fat soluble vitamins are dissolved in fat and can be stored in the body. And those vitamins are A, D, E, and K. On the other hand, water-soluble vitamins need to be dissolved by water before the body can absorb them. The body is not able to store these vitamins, and you need to consume these vitamins every day. Examples of water-soluble vitamins include vitamin C, B-complex vitamins like B6, B12, niacin, riboflavin, and folate. You see these on the back of those nutrition labels all the time.
Riboflavin, folate.
Riboflavin. And niacin?
Niacin, riboflavin.
Yeah, riboflavin. It's a weird one. I don't say that every day. Minerals are inorganic substances which are found in the soil or water and then absorbed by plants or eaten by animals. So vitamins are organic. They're created. They're made by plants or animals, whereas minerals are actually earth. They originate from the earth, the soil, and then plants absorb them, and then we eat plants, right? That's how that happens. And they regulate processes within the body. Minerals are put into different structures within the body to create enzymes, hormones, skeletal bones, skeletal tissues, teeth, and fluids. Examples of minerals your body needs include calcium, chromium, copper, iodine, iron, selenium, and zinc. Generally, if you are consuming a balanced diet, you should not need to take vitamin or mineral supplements. Consuming vitamins and minerals through natural products involves the absorption into the body. So if you're Most Americans don't consume a balanced diet, and that's usually because cheaper foods, subsidized by the government, they may be cheap, but not nutritionally dense. So be sure to buy fruits and vegetables and work that into your diet somehow. That will go a long way towards a balanced diet. Now, carbohydrates, you can find carbs in grains like rice, oats, starches, think potatoes, squash, and sugars, so think fruits, and some vegetables too, are the body's main energy source, and carbs provide 4 calories per gram. And we mainly find these in, like we said above, grains, cereals, fruits, and veggies, and they should make up about 60% of your diet. Most of your diet. I've seen people eat from 60% to 80-90%. There's a lot of people that are very carb focused, and it's like the anti-keto diets where you're almost eating exclusively carbs. But I think a good recommendation is more carbs than any of the other sources. Carbs are essentially sugars that the body breaks down, and then your body uses that broken down sugars to create energy. And we sometimes break that down into simple carbohydrates, simple sugars. Many foods like candy, junk food, a lot of that processed food, it's just made up of this very simple sugar, not a ton of dense nutrition. These foods are often referred to as empty calories because the energy produced from simple sugars, it's just not the highest quality of carbs. Food sources such as candy and pop, really high in calories, really high in sugar, but they don't provide your body with essential minerals and vitamins. It's just, the way I think of it is you're budgeting money, right? And sure, you could spend money on things that give you temporary pleasure, or you could take that money and spend it on something that will keep giving you like pleasure. So like instead of going to, I don't know, the movies, you could buy or rent something for less money or about the same money, but you still get to keep that. So there's just higher quality carbs out there that will give you vitamins and minerals as well. And so you should save your calories to spend on those more complex, more nutritious carbs. And you can always eat candy, like that's not a big deal, but you just don't want to mainly eat candy. You want to have more nutritious foods, mainly. Complex carbohydrates are made up of starches and grains such as whole grain bread, cereals, crackers, rice, and pasta. Complex carbohydrates provide the body with energy over a longer period of time. Whole grains are the healthiest forms of complex carbohydrates because they provide the most vitamins and minerals, and they are often rich in fiber. Now, fiber is a big one. The American diet, the standard American diet, is not high in fiber. A lot of these simple sugars are not fibrous. These more complex carbs are, and that will help with digestion and your overall gut health. And I think I will stop here. Sorry, I had to stop in the middle, but I need to get to another meeting. but I will return to this slide next time. See you guys.